Hi Scoots, I'm Inksight, and this tiny harbinger of inconvenience is Blot. And this marks the first episode of my artwork rework series, where I take some of my old artwork and basically redo it. Better, hopefully. So, hopping right into it, first up is this piece. And you're probably wondering why this lady's hair is the amalgamation of fish and water. Well, my best guess is when asked how she wants her hair styled, she said aquarium, to which the stylist said, say no more. But honestly, the real reason is that growing up I always loved drawing portraits, and animals, and landscapes. So what better way to kill 3 birds with 1 stone than to take a portrait, an animal, and an environment, shove it in a blender, and voila, whatever the surrealistic bull this is. Now to the rework. First, we're gonna need a sketch. As you can see, my style is now a lot more, stylized, and also I changed the face and composition a bit. Usually my first step for a piece is actually to thumbnail a bunch of different versions to test out different compositions and which one actually would work better, but since I have an existing composition that I'm happy with, all I need to do was to sketch it out, which is what I've done here, and again in my current style. And at this point, the sketch is rough. Not as rough as it was when I first started out. But yeah, I have not cleaned up the lines at this point, which you're probably thinking, well, yeah, duh, that comes next, which I say are wrong. Before I do any cleanup, I take the rough sketch and use it to create multiple color palette options. This is just so I can test out different color schemes before committing to one, and so that I don't struggle later during the process itself. And at first glance, I personally like the first 2 options since they give me the more underwater ocean vibes I'm going for. Though in the end, this option works best in my opinion due to its vibrancy and types of blues used here. I like this one, but honestly, might be more of a goth vibe now that I'm staring at it. But hey, you can always use the color palettes you don't pick for other pieces, so it's not actually a problem if you don't end up going for the other options. So don't be too precious about it is what I would recommend. Now that we have selected our color scheme, it's time to... No. Next is render and lighting tests. Here, I actually play around with the lighting and some of the rendering. This helps me almost create a preview into what the final could look like. And I know this can seem quite excessive to do this much planning before doing even starting the final piece, but it can actually help you decide whether you want to actually commit to that, or if you want to just play around with other ideas if you find that, oh wait, this looks like garbage, what else can I do to fix that? And case in point, actually, this first one I started with trying to make the shadows cool to match the watercolor and make the lighting a warm-ish tone thing, I don't know. But I only got a few minutes in before I absolutely hated it, and let's be real, it looks like absolute garbage, so, I scrapped it and worked on the second option, which thankfully I think looks much better. So much so, I ended up not even doing a third option and decided to go with this one. Now it's time for cleanup. So for the line work, I love making the lines color. And to do that, I separate each element that is going to be a different color line. For instance, the line work for the skin, I want it to be a bright red, whereas I want the line work for the hair to be blue. Though I do tend to do all the line work in a single color first, and then do the base colors, and then I change the lines to color. This for me at least helps decide what kind of tone or hue I want the color of the line works to be based on the base colors, if that makes sense. I find that works a bit better than just assuming that it will work in the first place. I don't know if I'm explaining that correctly. Probably not, but here goes. Then all that's left is rendering. Add some color to the face, some lighting. I thought it'd be cool to add that reflection thingy that water does when reflecting on skin. Some shading, some texture, an extra fish, and done. Honestly, I'm really happy with how this one came out, especially the bubbles. Look at the bubbles. And now it's time to add it to the collection board, where all of these types of pieces are going to go. Let's call this one Water Gaze. Speaking of boards, this here is the rework board. I know, creative. And these are all my old pieces that I want to rework in this current style. Let me just mark this one as done. So yeah, feel free to let me know which piece you want to see me do next, or even if you want to suggest a completely new idea for a piece like this. I am hoping to be able to record more of a time lapse at some point that I can include in these videos, but right now I'm still figuring out my format and how to record hours of drawing without it chowing up all my poor laptop storage. Maybe I can stream that part. I'm not sure. I'm still figuring this whole thing out, but I hope you still enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.